It's finally here. We finally reached 300 chapters of Black Clover. I am so happy and proud to say that I've been reading since the first chapter. And to see that the series has made it this far, it's just incredible to me. I'm really happy for Tabata, and I'm really happy for everyone involved with the series. It's such a big moment, and I'm glad I'm able to talk about it and give my thoughts on the recent chapter. But moving on to it, we see Gaja, and it's still unclear if he's dead or not. I can't find his grimoire anywhere, but I assume he's either dead or, at the very least, dying. So, Magicula says, so this is the spell fueled by burning the caster's own life. Its power has surpassed my own expectations. That was magnificent, human. Then we see Gaja go onto the floor. And Magicula makes reference to the first fight against Noelle's mother, Acer, and how things were the same back then. And then we see Rill, Charlotte, Gaja, everyone's just in the floor. Or Charlotte, she being the only exception, she's still standing up, and she's a champ. Look at her, she has all those wounds and damage given to her, and she's still holding her own. She's still standing up. Rill looks like he's unconscious. I can't really tell. And Gaja's in the floor, dying, or he's already dead, unfortunately. And then Magicula says it's over. And then here comes the best part of the chapter for me. Noelle comes in, and she's getting ready to fight again. It doesn't matter that the odds are against her. She's ready to take down Magicula. She's ready to give it her all. And then Magicula comes out, and she talks about how there's no hope, they should give up. And she makes reference to the clover leaves in the grimoire. She mentions how Acer Silva fought with love for her children as her weapon. That man being Gaja, that man fought with his loyalty to the queen to whom he'd sworn his allegiance. And you're fighting with hope, which doesn't even exist. And it's a nice reference to the clover leaves in the grimoire. So each represent faith, hope, and love. The only difference being Gaja, they mentioned loyalty rather than faith. I guess you can make the argument they're similar, if not the same. But it's very unusual that they translated it to just loyalty. Maybe it's a mistake on Viz's end? Actually, if I'm being a little bit honest, the translation for this chapter is a bit odd. I'm not one to really criticize translations for official chapters, because I think most of the time they're fine. But for this one in particular, it's very weird. But I'll get onto that in a little bit. But yeah, like I mentioned, she makes a reference, and then she says, for the sake of something so petty, when it means that you must cling to a thing like that, why don't you humans give up? And then we see Noelle just look very frustrated, and then she says, you're right, but that belongs to us, so I'd rather you don't understand it. You see, even if their chances of winning are slim, there are times when humans just have to act. It's not as if we can win, as long as we don't give up. However, if we don't give up, we'll definitely never win. Our strength lies in not giving up. And that is just a really powerful speech coming from Noelle. Tabata really nailed this chapter, and Viz nailed the translation for that as well. Everything about that was perfect. I loved it. Noelle just continues to be one of my favorite heroines in just all of shonen. I love her so much. This and of all things, they did it in the 300th chapter. Tabata, my man, he knows what he's doing. I love him for this. I love Noelle. I love her dedication, motivation, and unwillingness to give up. Everything about this was just 10 out of 10. I loved every piece of this. I can't thank Tabata enough for making Noelle just continue to get some of the best development I've ever seen. Period. For a heroine. I love it so much. And then right after, oh my god, this part really got to me. We see that Magicula, she's just like, I can't understand it. It's fascinating, but I can't expend any more time on this. And then she tries to blow up Lolo. I was like, oh my god, no way. And then, our boy, like, Asta comes up. We see Noelle trying to save Lolo, but she's powerless to do so. And then Asta comes by and just gives her a high five. He's flying on his sword, and then he arrives on the scene, and then boom, he manages to stop. Well, I guess the opposite of boom. He stopped the detonation of Lolo. And then he arrives, and he's like, "We saw each other again just fine, right, Noelle?" And then Noelle, she just, look at her. She gives her a really big smile, and she's like, "Everything is not, quote, just fine, Dorksta." And then Magicula's like, "What are you doing here? What is this human?" And that's how the chapter ends. And overall, I thought this was a really good chapter. It was a really good way to celebrate 300 chapters of Black Clover. But before I get into the issue regarding the chapter that certain people have, and it's not really a big deal anyways, I want to touch upon what Noelle just said here. So this is very weird on Viz's part. People are like, "Oh no, she said Dorksta." That's not the problem. I believe in the dub for Black Clover, she does say Dorksta in the dub. She says it quite a bit. So I'm guessing Viz borrowed from that. That's fine. That's nothing. My issue is, why did you include the "just fine" in quotations? I don't think you needed to include that at all. I think you could have just said, this isn't fine at all, Dorksta. I mean, I don't know. The quotation part seems a bit off to me. It's not the worst thing ever, but I feel like it could have been better. I mean, but back to Asta. I'm a bit surprised and a little bit exhausted of how the reactions went for Asta appearing and smiling. Now, I understand that it was a nitpick. Certain people on Twitter didn't really like the fact that Asta showed up and he smiled at Noelle, and he brought upon a lot of hope. I kind of get why. There's two reasons about it, right? Number one, people believe that Asta showing up and smiling kind of ruined the tone that we've had for the last few chapters. And I get that. I understand where you're coming from when you say that. But at the same time, Asta, it's not like he's not really the type of character to show up and be like really, menacing and angry. Because he's a very hopeful guy. I mean, sure, he's demonstrated those types of personality traits when the situation called for it, but judging from the fact that Asta made it in time and he saved Lolo, and he's meeting Noelle for the first time in almost 70 chapters, especially after finding out what had happened in the Heart Kingdom, I think this is a pretty standard reaction for Asta. I don't like I said before, like, people who were a bit upset about it, it was more of a nitpick than really a complaint or even a critique. It's just, they felt like it could have been done differently. And maybe it could have, but I thought the way it was done now was alright. But those type of critiques, I don't really have an issue with them. They're fine. They're legit critiques. And it's fair to have them. I think the problem didn't really come from the people who were critiquing it. It came from the people who were really trying to defend it. And I think some people got carried away with it. And then I guess towards some other people, not the original people who made the critiques, but some people who agreed with it, they went from thinking that it was just a critique to being like a major criticism. So one minor thing evolved into something that could have been completely avoided. And I think we can do better than that. This is the 300th chapter. We spent the entire leak day and the day after the leak day just arguing about it, and I felt like it was pointless. We should have been celebrating the release of the chapter. But thankfully, on Sunday, when the chapter did release, none of that happened. Everyone moved on. it's over. Which reminds me of the second thing I forgot to bring up, which is another minor critique. And this one I actually agree a little bit more with. So, people have realized that Asta has been, I don't want to say interrupting, but he's been showing up to help a little too much. We saw this when he stopped the demon in the Clover Kingdom, and we saw this when he arrived to help Noct against the twins. And now we're seeing it with him and Magicula. But, in my opinion, I don't think it's anything to get too worked up over. With the demon and the twins, we saw Asta demonstrate his union form. So I think that's fine. That's no problem with me whatsoever. Him showing up to save Lolo, all he did was, like I just said, save Lolo. He stopped her from exploding. And with Dante, he didn't even get to fight Dante. That was Magna. I would have understood. I would have honestly 100% agreed with this if Asta had been the one to take down Dante. Then afterwards, he made it to Noelle, stopped Lolo, and he's the one to take down Vanica. In my opinion, that would have been bad. That would have been pretty bad. I would not be able to defend that, and I honestly probably wouldn't want to. But so far, he just took down the demon, the twins, and he has no union form. I don't think Asta's going to be the one to take down Vanica in this fight. I don't know who could be the one. I don't think Asta's going to be the only one to show up. I think everyone's speculating Gordon. And how cool would that be if Gordon showed up and he had his own little Magna moment? If he's the one to find a way to stop Magicula. That probably wouldn't happen, but it would be really cool. I mean, Noelle could also show up. The rest of the Heart Kingdom gang, the elves, they could be the ones to help take down Magicula, or at the very least, prevent her from fully forming. But yeah, I think everything will be fine. I don't think Asta's gonna be the one to be a major player in this fight. And I do know there was some, me included, that thought that Asta was gonna go towards Morris, because that's the logical thing to do. Noct just mentioned before that Morris is a threat and they have to go and stop him. But then I realized, well, I didn't realize this. I forgot who sent me the tweet, and I apologize. I apologize for not remembering who it was. But someone sent a tweet to me, and it was a screen cap from another tweet that someone else had made. So that's even worse for me. I can't remember who these two fellows were. I apologize. I really do. But I do not take credit for this whatsoever. But someone had went back and mentioned a panel from chapter 291. I went back and reread the whole chapter, and they're right. When we see Noct and Asta talk about what they should do next, we see that not Noelle. Noct in his head mentioned, "Oh, the Dark Triad currently has power on the level of the highest devil users. I doubt the others will manage to last 30 minutes. Morris is causing the gates of the underworld to open faster. He's also a problem. But the first thing we need to do before the next gate opens is defeat the Dark Triad. Even if Union isn't an option, anti-magic is bound to be useful. Right now, the worst situation is..." And he stops there. I'll admit, I had completely forgotten about that. I went back, I reread it, and they made a really good point. The important thing right now is to stop the other Triad users. So, logically, Asta not going for Morris makes sense. Him going to Vanica, it's 100% the best option they could have gone for. We don't know what's going on with Langris, and Xenon's fight. I haven't really tempted to see that fight. But before we get to that, we need to continue what's going on with Vanica. And that has me wondering if Asta's going to be the one to go to Yuno, because Noct said that defeating all of them is important. So I'm guessing they're going to group up They're gonna fight Magicula. I don't know if they'll be able to defeat her, but I do think that at the very least they'll be able to stop her from manifesting. I'm not sure how they'll do it, but I think they'll manage to find a way. And afterwards, we'll figure out what's going on with Yuno and see how things go from there. And speaking of Yuno, one tiny thing I want to mention, I do hope we see Mimosa join in Yuno's group, because I like the idea of, you know, the remaining, all of the Golden Dawn members who are at Spade work together to take him down, because he was the one who killed half of their group, or their squad, I mean. So I think it's only fitting. I know Mimosa wasn't there when that massacre had happened, but I still think, you know, like Yuno said, it's a Golden Dawn problem. They should be the ones to manage to fight against them. But yeah. Overall, I thought the chapter was good. I don't have any complaints other than the translations for the chapter itself. I thought that was kind of off. But that aside, I thought the chapter was good. It was a good way to celebrate 300 chapters of Black Clover, which, once again, I'm really happy we made it this far. I mean, can you believe it? 300 chapters. Like, there's so many times where I felt like Black Clover could have been canceled, and it's managed to pull through. Like, this has happened between the manga and the anime, and it's just it's incredible to me. I'm proud of Tabata. You know, it's just, things could have gotten south. Things could have gotten really bad. I mean, things already gotten bad when Hungry Joker got axed, and that really bummed me out. I didn't have any hope for Hungry Joker coming back, because, you know, once a manga is axed, it's very rare. I don't even know if rare is the right word. I don't think it ever comes back. Sometimes they'll get like a special chapter or something, or maybe even a novel. I know I forgot the name of the manga. There was one manga that I do know that got cancelled, but it managed to continue through a novel. And then the novel acted as like somewhat as the finale for the series, and then it managed to finish up loose ends. I don't remember what the manga was though. I'll look into it, and maybe I'll put it into the comments. But yeah, that aside, I was always afraid in the beginning of Black Clover that it could have been canceled, because I thought, you know, with Hungry Joker, the same thing could have happened here. But no, it didn't. It managed to persevere. It managed to do very well. I mean, look at it. It has an anime adaptation. It has novels. It's finally getting more merchandise. It's getting a movie. That's the biggest thing right there. It's getting a movie. I've been waiting since chapter 1. I always felt like Black Clover would have easily gotten a movie back then. It didn't get one, but it's finally getting one now. And look at it. It even has spin-offs. It has like the little Black Clover SD that's in Japan. I mean, that series is weird as hell, but I mean, it exists. We got the Quartet Knights spin-off manga, which is based on the game. I mean, the fact that it has a game, it had 2 of them, or I guess 3 if you count the arcade one, but that was Japan only. But yeah, Black Clover, it's healthy. It's doing pretty well, and overall, I think the future of the series is looking very healthy, and I'm really excited to see how things progress from here. You know, I mean, I'm not sure how much there is left to the series, but I do want to say that I'm certainly looking forward to even 300 more chapters of Black Clover. I mean, who knows? There could be 300, it could be less, it could even be more. I mean, anything can happen. But I know I'm parroting myself, but I'm really happy and I'm really proud to see the series come this far. And I'm also happy that the fandom managed to celebrate just as much as I did on Sunday when the officials came out. I'm glad everyone stopped their fighting, everyone stopped their bickering, everyone came together. We showed our love and dedication towards Black Clover and Tabata. And like I said, I don't know what the future has in store, but I'm really excited. And I'm looking forward to reading the next chapter when it's out. I'm looking forward to seeing the movie, and I'm certainly looking forward to buying even more merchandise. I'm just waiting for all of that to release. But yeah, I'm thrilled. I think we're on a break, which I'm glad. I mean, Tabata has absolutely deserved it. He can relax a little bit. The fandom can enjoy the series reaching this far, and I'm looking forward to the next chapter. And many chapters after this. I think what Tabata has set up, it's gonna be pretty big for Black Clover later on. And we still don't know what happened with Gaja. We don't know whether he's alive or not. Charlotte and Rill are they're heavily wounded. I want to see if they can manage to maybe pull through. I mean, of course they're not going to die. I don't think they're going to die. But I want to see if they can manage to get back up and continue to fight. Especially Charlotte. I mean, she looks like she's ready to fight right now. Like, she doesn't care. She's not going to go down that easily. But yeah, I think I've said everything I needed to say about the chapter. Really liked it. And I can't wait to see the next one after the break. That's all I have to say for now. Feel free to share your love and dedication towards Black Clover in the comments. Let me know what got you into the series or what made you a fan. Feel free to just share some love. I always read the comments. I always give them likes, and I try to reply to as many of them as possible. So yeah, feel free to do that. And here's looking forward to the next chapter.